We'll do it like this. This is all right. Look, that's me and that's Richard.
It was a good game, wasn't it? Steve Price said after us that Wakefield were a good second half team. It would have been rubbish for most of the second half of the season, but it was a good comeback in the second half. Again, there's not too much to do. 16-0 down at half time. A few errors in the first half. Started fairly evenly, didn't that first 17 minutes? Both teams just feeling each other out, but Warrington scored the first try. Didn't really look back from there, and I think they're well-deserved winners. Why is they going to kick us out? Don't they know who we are? We had some fella asking us for a selfie before the game. That was ridiculous. But yeah, well-deserved win for Warrington. They're in the playoffs. Well-deserved. They'll be, I guess, a bit relieved, won't they? Because they should have probably been in the playoffs and confirmed in the playoffs months ago. But they've done it now. We'll see what happens next week when they travel to Leeds. And obviously, Wakefield take on London. We don't know when, though, yet. You might know at home. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, let us know. We've got to talk about what's happening at the bottom, because Wakefield obviously are involved in what's happening at the bottom. We managed to sneak the last couple of minutes of it in the press box, and great emotions when London scored. And first things first, credit to London. They have taken it to a one-game season,
which no one thought they would have done, would they? It's not their season. You said on the programme way back when teams were gambling on London being rubbish, and guess what? They haven't. They've got 20 points, the same as Wakefield, the same as Hull KR, the same as Huddersfield. Julie says London, London, London. Steve says Hull KR are going down. You can't predict it. You cannot predict what's going to happen next weekend. 3 big games. Obviously Wakefield London's going to get all the attention, but that might not mean anything at the end of that game, because if London win and Hull KR or Huddersfield lose, either of those are down. It's Wakefield's points difference is good at the moment, but you don't know what's going to happen next week.
Oh, look, the points difference is good, and barring all 3 of the teams below and winning, they're going to be all right, aren't they?
I don't think Wakefield are going to lose 70-0. I've seen, mind you, I think that's happened in the past at London, in the bad old days. And we've been asked by Neil any ideas if the games will be moved. David says Skiles make the announcement tomorrow. I guess they have to talk to the clubs and get all the logistics sorted out, but I think all the games will be played the same. You can't, in this situation, have all the games kicking off at different times. It's just unfair.
It is indeed. How good for London. We mentioned on the show on Forty20, I had a big debate with Scully. In my opinion, Hull KR have lost too many big games. You go back to the year they got relegated, they had 3 chances to dig themselves out of a hole. They found a way to lose a game that no one in history would have lost, and they've done it now. They've lost 3 of the last 4 at home. They've lost to Huddersfield, they've lost to Wakefield, and now they've lost to London, the 3 teams immediately above them. The question is, do they deserve to stay up?
Well, if they get 1 more point than the teams at the bottom, then yes. I mean, here's the conspiracy theory. If Salford beat Hull KR, who are Huddersfield playing next week? Who did you say?
Catalans.
Huddersfield are going to win that one, aren't they? Because Catalans are rubbish. So if Salford beat Hull KR, Wakefield and London can play out a 0-0 draw after Golden Point and both stay up.
That's not going to happen.
I don't know. I'm going to get onto the bookies, say hashtag your odds, and see what happens. No, I think it's. I'm still confident. I don't see any reason why Wakefield can't, at home, beat London. I know they've lost them twice this year, but I can't see any reason. The way they played in that second half doesn't sound like they've picked up any more injuries. Now, Danny Kerman's got a back injury, but let's face it, 1 more game, Danny Kerman's going to play if he's got his leg fallen off, hasn't he? If he can get on that field, he's going to play. So it's going to be nervy next week. This is what we all watch sport for. We say it all the time. We love watching the darts, the snooker, the golf, because you see individuals crumble under pressure, because they're the very best at what they do, but for some reason in the moment something goes wrong, and we're going to see that next week. Lots of pressure. We saw Warrington getting under pressure here and make silly errors in that second half that they shouldn't have been making. We're going to see lots of them next week. It's going to be a very nervy time.
It is indeed. Going to the wire, I mean, we must credit London for making it happen. A lot of people want to talk about Ben Westwood. We'll talk about that in a minute. Really emotional occasion for him. Came out last. He got the hacker. The lads give him the hacker as well. And also a really emotional speech. I know you missed it. He lost his train of thought, bless him, and he dropped the old F-bomb. It was well received by the crowd. I think they understood the emotion in his voice. Over 500 career games in the front row. We spoke to Jason Clark, we spoke to Steve Price after the game. Monumental servant. I know you're a fan of his, given where he's from and where he started.
I mean, saw him come through the ranks at Wakefield when he was a centre, back when he was a bit more wiry than he is today. And Wakefield had to sell him because they needed the money. Came to Warrington, helped keep them up along with Nathan Wood. That was the big double signing for the Warrington Wolves back in 2002. And look where they've gone from there. Multiple Challenge Cup wins, multiple grand finals. And you can tell the way the players talk about him, the way Steve Price talks about him, the way the fans talk about him as well. And I've said before, there's far too many people are called legends these days. I'm not saying Ben Westwood's one of the greatest players in the history of the game, don't get me wrong, but at this club,
don't play 500 games without,
at this club, he's going to go down in the all-time greats. There are plenty of people who get given that tag who've done nowhere near what Ben Westwood's done in his career, and internationally as well. Especially he's got international honours. Shame he didn't stay at Wakefield longer, but he's done a great job here at Warrington. As I say, if you think the town of Normanton, little place somewhere between Castleford and Wakefield, and it's produced two great players, one in Dave Topless, who Scully idolises, and Ben Westwood, completely different player. I'm not putting him on the same level, but to be second behind Dave Topless, that's not a bad achievement for Ben Westwood, and he's got the send-off he's deserved here today, and who knows when he'll get the send-off he deserves in the grand final, because Warrington now, forget the fact they lost 6 in a row, they've won today, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it is indeed. Neil's been at work, said how did Wakefield play? I thought Wakefield, look, first half Warrington were fantastic. Wakey did well to stay within 16. Second half they came out, had a really good crack at it. I thought they were, at one point I thought they were going to get a result, but when they got within 4 they just couldn't quite get the next score. So if they play like that next week, then it's going to take a really strong London performance to beat them. I think we'd say that. It's going to be so tense next week. The game, obviously, everyone's going to be looking at is going to be Wakefield against London, because that is the game. If London win, then the pressure then falls on Hull KR and Huddersfield.
Back before the £1 million game against Bradford, the accusations from some clubs were Wakefield had bought themselves out of the relegation mire by signing Tim Smith and what's he called, Kevin Locke, who didn't even play in the game, of course. And they've made the right signings again this year. Morgan Escaré, who, yes, makes errors, but when he's got ball in hand, boy oh boy, Escaré would say, he can do some things, can't he? Tangata, you've got to say, stepping up for the championship, to step up from
Tangata and
Tanganoa
was superb tonight. Absolutely superb.
It's going to be great. As a Wakefield fan, obviously I hope Wakefield stay up. I hope that at the end I said to Alex, our friend Alex, on Twitter the other day, I hope at the end of the game next week Wakefield and London fans are celebrating.
We will see. We're getting wet here
at
the Halliwell Jones, so we basically are going to go, if that's all right. Anything else you want to talk about before we leave?
Leeds back in crisis.
Salford in the playoffs. Salford in the playoffs. Big win for them.
Agar in. We'll talk about that on Monday, because that's an interesting appointment if it does indeed happen. But yeah, great result for Salford. 7 in a row, the first time they've tweeted since 1976.
Is history going to repeat itself next week? Are Salford going to send Hull Kingston Rovers into the Championship? If London win and other permutations pan out, Hull KR could be getting relegated. It could be Huddersfield. It could be Wakefield. It would take a huge turn of events. It could also be London, but they've taken it to the last game.
I do hope, by the way, that Warrington, they probably won't, or Super League, tweet out Deck Patton going into touch it to play the ball, because I've never seen that before, and it was ridiculously stupid. Had no effect on the game, but it was hilarious.
It was indeed. Richard is a Wakefield fan. It's going to be a tough all week for him. We will be back on Monday, when I will be having words with a certain Gary Schofield. I told him last week that Hull Kingston Rovers would not beat London. They didn't beat London. We're going to the final game of the season. Everybody has got something on the line on next weekend. We will be covering it all. We will be live on Monday, 6 o'clock until 8. Thanks to Rich. Thanks for you for tuning in. We'll see you on Monday, 6 to 8. You know the drill. Get ripped in.